Welcome to the Political Matrix News. We have the sources, we have the truth from inside the political matrix.
Well, folks, welcome to our wonderful evening here. It is, what day is it? November 19th? The election's been, 2 weeks away now? And America has not fallen apart yet. Yes, Democrats, y'all were wrong. We have not, exactly. We're still here.
Wait, are you suggesting that the Democrats were incorrect in their prophecies of doom?
Possibly. In fact, I've had a few Democrats call me today and apologize for thinking that the world's going to come to an end within 10 days after the election if Trump got elected. Anyway, we are here with the Political Matrix News podcast here tonight. I'm Greg Fink here, and we got Scott Miller here joining me here tonight over here in Pensacola, Florida. We have, just to let y'all know, we are consultants who have been doing this for a long time, for right around 30 some odd years separately. And we also have a pretty big team as well that we represent. And we kind of got tired of hearing how everybody else was talking about campaigns and politics without having any real insider information. We've seen how the sausage is made. We know how the burgers are cooked, and we all know where the cats and the dogs are. And so, so that being said, I think we have a pretty good idea here on how screwed up this election cycle has been, with everything from Kamala spending $9 or $10 million a day on nothing but bullshit to basically Trump having 2 assassination attempts, and he was walking in right away to be our next mandated president of the United States. And yet we're still here. And everybody thought we weren't going to be, the Democrats. And they were wrong.
Oh, no, the Democrats have definitely said that they're not, that the world's going to end in 10 days after President Trump gets elected. And then they are correcting that to say that they meant 12 days, or maybe it's 13 or a couple of weeks. They're going to get back to us on that.
Exactly. It's been 14 days now, though, exactly. And so it's wonderful that, and the cabinet that he's been picking has been a really interesting, unique, eclectic cabinet. However, I do think he's going to try to do recess appointments, and there's a lot of controversies and incorrect information out there about how you do a recess appointment. People seem to think that, they're just going to recess and he just appoints. It's not that simple. And, Scott, you've done a lot of research on this here, because the biggest controversy he's picked is the wonderful and notorious Matt Gaetz, who, of course, if you ever watch our podcast, know that we have we talk about him every now and then. And so he's a former congressman here in Florida, and they're trying to go ahead and talk about him might, be the next guy for a recess appointment. Do you think that's going to be possible?
Well, over the 3 or more decades that you and I have been consultants in political campaigns, I don't know if I can correctly count the number of times that we've had to correct election officials and lawyers on the law. And I'm not going to say that we're that smart and lawyers are that dumb. Election law is a very, very narrow portion of the law that few lawyers ever get into, and obviously have a very few opportunities to try cases or work with that law. So I don't really blame them for not knowing the law like we know the law, because it's kind of like, I look at it like Throwdown with Bobby Flay. You remember that show? Yeah. Bobby Flay get out there and go to some random restaurant and challenge them to be able to make their signature dish.
Exactly.
Well, that's who we are. We're like the signature dish guys. We're just the everyday guys that do we know the entire law? No. I mean, lawyers obviously have training that we don't have, but we do know election law. And we have corrected many of Harvard-educated lawyers on this.
Yeah.
And in this case, we don't do a lot of federal campaigns, so for a little while we were kind of relying on people that we thought did them all the time. So we didn't go do what we normally do, which is read the statute.
Exactly.
So after reading the statutes, it's funny to see how these people are all breathlessly talking about when there's going to be a recess appointment, and Matt's going to be the guy. He could be the guy for up to 2 years before they ever have to confirm it.
Yeah.
And I do want to qualify this by saying that it wouldn't be the first time that someone said, to hell with the law, and we're just going to do this.
That's true. I mean, we do have that issue with a lot of states all around the country. I mean, even the last election cycle, they said the hell with the law.
I'm not even talking about states. I'm talking about government, anything.
Yeah, that's true.
The government does all sorts of things that they absolutely cannot do,
right,
that they just decide to do. And then someone's got to take them to court and make them stop doing it. So here's what I'm going to say about this. Back in 2012, a company called Noel Canning, who's a bottler in, I forgot what state.
Texas.
I'm sorry.
Texas, I think.
Was it Texas? Okay.
Yeah.
They and they were having a challenge with the National Labor Relations Board. So their lawyer got the bright idea that, by the way, that 3 of the members of the National Labor Relations Board were appointed as recess appointments improperly, because the Senate had been in session and had been having what they call pro forma sessions, where they would basically not really transact any business. They'd go in, hit the gavel, say welcome to the Senate, and then off they go.
Right.
That case resulted in a 9-0 concurring opinion. Now, and the only disagreement between the liberal elements of the court and the conservative elements of the court was the conservative elements of the court wanted to make the decision even more restrictive on the president's ability to do recess appointments. Right. And what they wound up with is to say that you can't call, as far as the Supreme Court case goes, they said that you can't just, like the Senate can't take the day off, like take off President's Day, which they will take off President's Day, and then that's recess. That's not actual recess. It has to be substantial, like around, they said 10 or more days.
All right.
And well, actually, let me just get on to the thing. I'll read the ruling. Length of the recess. A recess must generally last 10 or more days for the president to make recess appointments. Pro forma sessions effectively keep the Senate in sessions, preventing a recess from occurring. The court upheld the president's authority to fill both pre-existing vacancies and those that occur during the recess, and that pro forma sessions, even if no business conducted, are sufficient to prevent the Senate from being in recess. Now, this case was wrapped up eventually in 2014. So 10 years ago, only 10 years ago, and we had a 9-0. The liberals and the conservatives both thought, hey man, this is what we're going to do. So it's unlikely, even with the new court, that the Supreme Court would take up this issue.
Right.
And they would defer to the decision that's already been rendered, because the Supreme Court doesn't like to continually rehash things that are reasonably fresh and have and especially things that had such a compelling decision. I mean, there was essentially no dissent. The only dissent is, how far do we go?
Right.
Now, the other dynamic that we're looking at here is what's called the Federal Vacancies Reform Act, and that one goes back to 1998. Yeah, 1998. Yeah, it goes back to 1998. What it says is, see, that stupid thing is still kind of messing with me. That you go criticism. Oh,
hello.
Now, let me. Hey. So here we go. So what it says is that in order to be a recess appointment, you have to, and by that they mean someone who is not vetted by the Senate, who doesn't go through the Senate confirmation process. In order to be that guy for the recess appointment, you have to be either a first assistant to the office, so like the deputy or vice or something like that, right, the first one, or you have to be someone who's already serving in a Senate confirmed position, or a senior agency employee who has served for at least 90 days in the previous year and is paid at least at the GS-15 level on the general schedule.
Right.
So here,
All right.
whoa, stop.
Matt's not any of those guys.
Hold on a minute, because I'm hearing Sean Hannity was going on and on about how many appointments Reagan made, Bush Sr., Bush Jr., Trump did on the last go-around. Is it possible that these appointments were made and nobody raised their hand and said, I'm sorry, Mr. President, you can't do this, because the write-up I saw said good for 210 days and then another 210 days. I think that's what I sent you. So what the hell? I mean, are people just ignoring the Supreme Court on this?
Well, now, what I was just saying there was a federal statute from 1998.
Okay.
All right? That's about who can be recess appointed. All right. It's not whether or not he can do the recess appointment. It's who can be appointed in a recess. Without congressional, without Senate oversight.
Got it.
Right.
All right. What the Supreme Court talked about was who could be, under what circumstances a recess appointment could happen, and that ruling only happened in 2014.
And so basically, Matt Gaetz doesn't fit the persona or the imaging of any of the.
Well, he doesn't have the qualifications under the statute.
Exactly.
And and the Senate is not going to get it'll be spring break before the Senate is out for 10 consecutive days.
Right.
If then the Democrats may keep it in session by having senators show up at 10 o'clock or noon whenever they meet and say, yeah, we're here, we're in session, and then they turn around and go play golf. That's happened.
Well,
that's happened before.
The Democrats. I mean, that has happened before, and it has successfully done it. It would be up to the majority leader, which would be Thune at the time. But Thune's not a big fan of this recess appointment either for this guy. It's not that he wouldn't do them, but I mean, he's just not. I don't think that he's going to cooperate. They're already contemplating what to do if Thune doesn't cooperate, and trying to figure out the constitutionality of the president declaring the Senate out of session. But even if he puts them out of session, they can still come right back in session within 10 days, and they haven't been out of session long enough.
Right.
If they come back in session one time during that 10 days, the clock resets. And that's assuming that the president can make it so that can make them adjourn at all.
Right.
And there's not a whole lot of agreement on that. This is just a long way to go for one guy, just to prove a point.
One pit bull guy is what they're looking for.
Right. And Trent.
Yeah, we'll go get Trey Gowdy.
Exactly. Get Trey Gowdy or get the, who is the senator from Missouri? Clint or somebody like that? But his senator from Missouri is another guy they're looking at as well. And,
well, Missouri would be a safe pick because they would get I don't know what their appointments statute are for senators, but it would be someone they could easily replace with another senator, even if they had to Republican, even if they had to run a special election, because Missouri is a pretty safe Republican.
Yeah, be Eric Schmidt. Is who they're talking about.
Schmidt, yeah.
Okay. Was he the guy in 18 or 20 that did a commercial? He was a former SEAL, and he did a commercial field stripping and reassembling an M16 blindfolded and said, hey, I'm a Democrat. I support the Second Amendment. So I don't know if he's a lawyer too, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Well, I think that's the guy, but he's a Democrat, so they're not going to pick him.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, this guy's a Republican.
Yeah, well, it's the law is the law is the law, as long as they don't liberalize the DOJ and liberalize. What do you think? They want to get rid of Chris Wray at the FBI.
I think one of the most exciting posts I've seen on social media was, honestly, it would almost make me support Matt to hear them say that there's a large number of career bureaucrats that want to resign if he's appointed. I'm like, oh, well, that might actually make it worth it.
Yeah,
it might.
You're right. That would.
That's the downside.
I just don't see. I cannot see Matt Gaetz running the Department of Justice. I see him being incarcerated by the Department of Justice. I see him at the federal minimum security prison at Sofley Field in Pensacola, working on the grounds crew at NAS Pensacola, which they are there every day, 5 days, 6 days a week, guarded. I see him there.
Don't they still have a minimum security prison over at Eglin?
No. That all consolidated at Sofley. And I just want to get the video of him raking leaves over at NAS and not be allowed to go in the officers club for lunch. So,
well, this is all different kinds of of the machinations of the law, and what the law is says that he's not confirmable or he's not appointable in those circumstances, and they can't call a recess without the cooperation of the Senate, and they're apparently not enthusiastic about doing that. So whether or not they comply with the law on that or just make something up themselves, I don't know. But this is what the law says, and that's that that neither of those things are they able to do.
Now it looks like I guess the House is going to be looking at releasing the report, everything else on him tomorrow. So that's another thing. That's going to be. I know the House Ethics Committee. They're meeting tomorrow about releasing the report. Although it's already been hacked already, but they're going to be releasing their version of it.
Well, I don't think that they're going to. I don't think they're going to release it. That they've said for several days that they're not going to be releasing it.
Okay. They're making their final decision tomorrow. So.
Well, they've said no for several days. Now, if this thing gets released tonight, and it's already basically done, will that will they do it then? I don't know. Maybe. I mean, because you might as well. But at the same time, you can stay on President Trump's good side by not releasing it, knowing that it's already out there anyway. Right. What the hell?
Yeah, and for those who don't know, it was hacked earlier today.
Last
night, the Ethics Committee's computers were hacked, and the entire document has been basically.
Wait a minute. Wait. You said that wrong. They were hacked.
Okay, hacked. And so I mean, I'm sure whoever has it is going to be going up to the highest bidder before it gets released.
I'm confident that whoever has it got it from someone with a D behind their title.
Whoa! Did you guys see this from the New Republic posted just a little while ago? Another despicable Republican announces bid to take Matt Gaetz's seat. Do you want to guess who that Republican is?
Who?
Michelle Salzman.
Jim Petronis?
Michelle Salzman.
She's despicable.
Unbelievable.
Well, let me tell you something. In this district, the Republic calling you despicable is a badge of honor.
So they already started the attacks.
Yeah, the New Republic. Boom, boom, boom. She posts weird, grainy, and often racist memes on Twitter.
Well, they're attacking her because
yeah.
That's racist under the woke definition of racist, which is basically everyone who's not fully in support of everything that they want.
I am stunned. Michelle texted me last week. No, I promise you, I've got a text that says not going to do it.
She told me this morning. She told me this morning she was pretty filing.
Okay, well, last week it was no. So
I know. Yes, last week it was, and to be fair, last week she told me the same thing.
Right.
Okay.
Things change pretty quickly right now. I mean, right now, there's also talk about the CFO of Florida. Jimmy Petronis is actually talking about.
Petronis he has in fact pre-filed
for Gaetz,
for Congress. Yeah, for Gaetz's seat.
What about Waltz? What about Waltz?
Nobody's doing anything for that seat yet.
Okay.
Nobody's even talking about that seat. It's a very quiet seat that nobody's really discussing because Mike Waltz is a very low-profile guy compared to Matt Gaetz.
Okay, hold on. How did I not know Jimmy Petronis was from the 1st District? What is he, like Fort Walton, Destin?
No, he lives in Panama City Beach.
No. Panama City Beach.
Yeah.
Okay.
He doesn't live in the district, but he probably will after the election.
Okay.
We also have the Keith Gross, who was running against Rick Scott for governor. He's also going to be running in the seat as well. And then you have, I think, some other local people in the Pensacola area. I know Greg Merckx has filed already.
Right.
Michelle Sullivan has filed already. Some guy, Franklin, whoever his name is, and Jim Witt. Yeah, they have both filed for Congress already. They're both former military
at the end of the
guys.
day, there's probably going to be 10 or 12
Yeah,
guys.
there's going to be a lot more people just jumping in.
Yeah.
But Jimmy Patronis with his big war chest is an interesting one.
Going to be interesting to see how he gets that $10 million war chest from a state seat to a federal seat, because that's supposed to be illegal. But you and I both know that Matt did it to get into his. So I guess he'll go talk to Bucky Mitchell and get him to do the same thing for him.
Okay. Wow.
No.
So that's really tough.
Look, if whatever Bucky did was apparently legal, so I don't know how. I'm not suggesting Bucky would ever do anything illegal.
Right. The judge said it was he was allowing Matt to do it this one time only, and never again.
Yeah, that's that's more of that of that Gaetz family magic. Yeah, don't you do that, bad boy.
Exactly.
Right.
It's $890,000, just to let everybody know. And so it was not just a swallow a chump change amount. It was almost $1 million worth of state PAC money that he put into his federal race. That even got him to where he is now. If he didn't have that money, Greg Evers most likely would have won the race. And so, I mean, it was a very close race. And so he would not have had an extra $1 million to play with. And so it would have been an entirely different kind of history here in Northwest Florida. We would not have been dealing with this the entire time.
And Trey Gowdy would be appointed as AG.
Exactly. Trey Gowdy would be the AG. Well, I think it's actually going to be the next AG. I think it's going to be Trey Gowdy, or it'll probably be Eric Schmidt from Missouri or somebody like that. I actually would hope it would be Ted Cruz, possibly.
I was thinking Ted Cruz would be incredible, and had he lost the Senate race, he would be perfect. But then that would have put a Democrat in from Texas, and I don't know if the Republican Party of Texas has anybody waiting in the wings for that Senate seat.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
well, I don't. Each state gets to pick what the appointment, how they replace a federal senator.
Right.
Florida has the senator is appointable. I don't know if that's the case in Texas. If it is, what they would probably do is appoint somebody and get a I don't know, and by the time the election rolls around, by the time they could roll an election around, they would be running as a respected incumbent instead of just some random guy that promises to do a good job.
2 years, that is the 20, it's in the 20s, 21, 22 amendment. I read my Constitution, it's here somewhere. I looked it up and was like, oh, okay, because originally people, for history's sake, previous to that amendment, the state legislatures of the various states elected the senators, and you can imagine what a Donnybrook that was and how many deals were made over the years for the entire history of the nation up until the 1920s. I think this was the one after the after Booz, and then that all changed, and it all then figured out over the next 8 years, I believe. So I stand to be corrected on that, but that allowed for the first direct vote by people to get senators into the U.S. Senate. And people are amazed now that originally the founding fathers didn't trust the average American male voter because women couldn't vote. They didn't trust the average male voter to be able to elect someone on a statewide basis for the U.S. Senate, and they gave that task to the various state legislatures, which is just blows my mind.
Well, wait a second. I have a slightly different take on why they did that, because I think why they did that, and my recollection in my reading on that, frankly, was that they did that because people, the states themselves, the state governments themselves needed to have mandates. Needed to not have unfunded mandates. So like you couldn't send you couldn't run through so many unfunded mandates to the state if the state itself, the state government, was sending a representative there to represent the state.
Right.
So that's kind of why they were appointed for the longest time, because we kept the interest of, the people had the Congress and the states had the Senate, and so everyone had interests that were were represented, and the states that weren't so vulnerable to populist ideas.
I apologize. This is the 17th Amendment, which, by the way, was a big old compromise. George Mason had this in the Federalist number 62, and James Madison. They thought that having state legislatures choose the senators would help give the states a sense of authority and legitimacy in selecting representatives for the federal government. That seems very convoluted to me. The 17th Amendment,
exactly
the teenager, this took place 1908. Yeah, 1908. Your history is very, very good, by the way. So congratulations on that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Guys, I mean, I go through the whole list of the appointees, and what happened today, President Trump picked another guy who hosts a weekend show on Fox News, former congressman from Wisconsin, the Secretary of Transportation, Dr. Oz, who had his own talk show for many years, and I believe he was on Good Morning America. I stand to be corrected on that. And he actually ran for U.S. Senate in Pennsylvania and lost. Well, he's going to be the guy. Yep. He's going to be the guy in charge of Medicare and Medicaid. So he's going to be working with Bobby Kennedy. And I'm like, oh, again, mind being blown on almost a daily basis with these nominees. You do a better one than I do. I want one of you to figure out in the next week how Susie let Matt get nominated, or did Matt just get on his knees when he was at Mar-a-Lago going, please, 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 please appoint me? Because I think I will tell you this.
No. I will tell you the story that I heard.
Okay.
Was that Susie was not in the room when that decision was made, and Trump just kind of announced it without running it by her.
Yeah.
Because Susie used to work at Bascom Communications in Tallahassee, and she what
it's Ballard Corporation.
Ballard. I'm sorry, Ballard. Yeah. And was she a principal? I don't remember.
She's like one of the junior principals, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. So the point of that is she was right in the middle of all of this stuff during the time when all of Matt's really, serious state hijinks were going on. She was in the middle of it.
Hijinks. So, okay. Yeah. All right. I was thinking drug-fueled sex orgies, as one story has it. But and Greg's laughing, going, "Why didn't I get invited? I didn't either." So, but the fact that Susie missed out on that
at all.
The fact that Susie missed out on that decision, she probably had a chat with the president.
Well, he's kind of notorious for doing things without running him past his chief of staff. I mean, she's not the first one to run into that problem.
Got it. He was at the launch for the Starship down in South Texas on Tuesday the 19th. And by the way, we're doing this Tuesday night, the 19th. He was down there, and someone said, "Are you good with Matt? You're going to replace Matt Gaetz?" And he just said no. The one question he was asked, no, walked away. So,
hold on, and I keep on going back to this. He is his reputation is as the negotiator. That is his response, his thing. And a sales tactic is something called peeling them off the ceiling, where you give them some outrageous price for it when you would really take probably half of that.
Okay, right.
And then they're so rattled by that they just go and say that they say, well, instead of $1 million, I'll pay you $750 when you would have taken $500. That sounds like something Trump would do. That's what makes this make sense to me.
Yeah, I agree. And also, yeah, just to look at recap. Yeah, Susie actually was a head principal at Ballard for quite a few years.
Wow.
And as far as somebody taking over Trey there's this guy named George P. Prescott Bush, who's a young guy out there in Texas. He's 46 years old. So he could be the next Ted Cruz replacement, possibly.
Well, he was the Texas Land Commissioner, which is a very, very big deal in Texas. You kind of control an awful lot, including the Alamo, interestingly enough. And don't forget, his mom, it's Jeb. Jeb is his dad, okay, just to put it all in perspective. Exactly. So raised in primarily what? Jeb lives in Miami? And
yeah, he was raised in Miami and Tampa area. I think with the U.S.
And his mom's from Mexico. And I'm going to really go back to ancient history. Republican Convention, New Orleans. I don't remember if that was 88 or 92. And George Bush Sr., there were some kids playing in basically the pit in front of his speech-giving position. I'm thinking it's 92 now. Wait a minute. Hold on. 88. 92 it was in Houston. The convention was in Houston.
Okay.
So it was 88, and he goes, oh, those little brown ones, those are my grandkids. And George P. was one of those little kids. So what? I'm serious.
Mm-hmm.
That did.
I remember him.
Greg, you're not old enough. And I was like,
I remember. Like I always said it, you know.
Yeah, but that's what he said, because it's it's like, what are these kids down here? So youngest George is I think everybody in Texas thinks pretty highly of him. I'm not sure if he gets a law degree or not.
He's 46.
Huh?
He's 46 years old.
Okay, so he's younger than you. Not older than Scott, younger than you.
Well,
okay.
Clearly you don't have to have a lot of legal experience, because I don't know that Matt's ever tried a case. All I know of him actually doing is writing a few contracts when he was over at Anchor's law firm in Fort Walton, and then from there he went straight into the legislature.
Yeah, he actually went to high school in Homestead, Florida. Then he went to Tarrant County, Texas, here for a charter school in college.
That's Bush.
Yeah, JP.
Oh, by the way, how old is Matt now? 30, 40, what?
42.
42.
42.
Okay. Somebody brought this up to me, and he said, where is Gaetz from? And I was like, well, he originally Niceville, Florida. And huh?
Hollywood.
What?
Hollywood,
Florida.
He's originally from Hollywood.
Hollywood, Florida.
But Big Daddy has lived in
They lived there when he was 10 years old.
Okay. Well, amazingly enough,
Alex Andretti's from Hollywood too.
That is funny.
It is.
Okay, the new guy playing Jack Reacher in the TV series is Alan Richson, and Alan is from Niceville and is a year younger. And I'm wondering, were they schoolmates in Niceville? How do you get somebody movie star good looks and then movie star scumbag politician? It just blows my mind in that respect.
Oh, that's good. That's a good question. How old is Alan Richmond?
41. Rich son. Ritchson. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
I watched both seasons of that. That's a great series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway, that's I just thought that was fascinating, and
I will say that I finally found the Texas law on replacing a senator, and what they do is they appoint a temporary senator while they're running a special election. Interestingly, they can run. They can also run for the next full term during this special election. So they can run not only for the special election. In this case, it would be interestingly. In this case, it would be not only to elect Ted Cruz's replacement for almost the entirety of that term, but also they could potentially, unless there's some case law that challenges that, but they could potentially run him for 12 years in one election, 11 and 11.9 years, whatever.
That's Texas.
That's Texas.
Yeah.
Before, it's an interesting state.
It talks about Mr. Richson, graduating Niceville High School, the class of '01, and went to Okaloosa Walton Community College, now Northwest Florida State. Got an Associate of Arts degree. So, hey,
Okay, right.
you know,
Yeah.
I'm good with that. So he, you know, his dad, retired Air Force Chief Master Sergeant, a lot of stripes, and he's one of,
Oh, yeah.
you know, so it's like, why couldn't we get him to run for Congress?
I know, right?
I mean, Petronas thinks it's such a good, I mean, I don't
get that idea. He's stepping down from CFO to Congress, and I mean, obviously, he's not a good fit for the Senate. Otherwise, he'd be in line for the appointment for the Senate. So why is he doing a lower level federal race?
I don't know. There's a lot of machinations in that going
Yeah.
on, and it's not just you know.
We're not privy to
you-
a lot of information on that one.
Well, there's kind of are, but there's not everything. I can't talk about everything.
That's very true.
Okay. Good enough. Well, on that happy thought, don't forget we still have the Political Matrix News tumblers in large print and in small print available now, $24.95. Just send check, cash, money order to Greg Fink, and he will flat out hook you up. On behalf of Scott Miller in Pensacola, Greg Fink in Gainesville, I'm Rob Milford in Orlando. We do appreciate a like, a share. What else? 5-star reviews, something like, I can't believe these guys are really serious, but we are very serious because everything in politics affects everything in your life. We'll see you next week with another edition of the Political Matrix News.